Hello everyone! Today I wanted to show you my crochet journey so far and share with you guys the different projects that I've made since I started about a month ago. I would say it's been about a month since I have started, and I just want to show you guys how that has been going, as well as share all the tutorials that I followed to get to this level. So I purchased this really standard pack, I would assume, of crochet needles. They were on sale in the store, and I thought that might as well start a new hobby. I went ahead and started with just kind of trying to figure out how to crochet, like very simple stuff. Actually, the first thing that I watched was a tutorial for this headband, and I was following it and I was like, okay, no, this is impossible. I'm not gonna be able to do this. This is too far ahead. So instead I downgraded a little bit to a more simple tutorial, and I found this tutorial, which I'm of course linking all the tutorials at the bottom in my description so that it can help you. And the idea for me was just to kind of create some kind of piece of fabric or cloth with crochet, just to get started, like a little patch. And so this is what I actually started with. Let me put these guys out of the way, but this is the first items that I made, and yeah, you could tell I was 100% a complete beginner. And you can see how this was, I think this is the second one, because it looks a lot cleaner than this one. There you go, this is the first one I ever did. You can see how, I don't know why, but the width definitely decreased as we went on. I guess I just wasn't picking out the right crochets to go through. And that was one thing that I struggled with a lot. I didn't know where I was supposed to put my needle, and this was supposed to be single crochet, but it's clearly not single crochet. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was going through the back loop or something like that. Anyways, so this was my first patch. Even though it looks wonky, I was still proud of it because I was able to see that I can make some sort of patch with this. And then my next step was just going to be to pay a little more attention to the details of where exactly to insert my hook and stuff. So this was my second patch, and this is after having paid a little bit more attention. I think in this one I was just kind of trying to make sure to maintain the width and make sure to go through every single crochet loop correctly. And then at this point I was like, okay, I feel pretty comfortable with making a patch. Maybe I can make something a little bit longer. So I went back to the tutorial of the headband, but I wasn't following the tutorial. I just went ahead and tried to make the length of a headband. And in this one it's kind of interesting because you can see where I started and where I ended, because this is clearly my end. It's a lot more cleaner of a stitching, and it looks really nice and uniform. And then if you go back to the beginning where I first started, and this was literally the thing that I made after making these patches, so you can kind of tell I was still trying to figure out how to hook through and stuff. There's a slight increase in the width here as I made a mistake probably and hooked through the wrong loop. Anyway, so I went around and I made this long strip, and then I used the tutorial just to figure out how to make this part, this knotted end. And it was really easy. It was just like sewing it on, folding them together, sewing it on. You can see in the tutorial. And I'm super happy with how this turned out. I actually do wear this out quite a bit. It's winter here, so my ears get really cold. So this has been a really nice ear cover, and I really love it. And I want to make more headbands. I want to actually follow the tutorial now and see if I can actually make the Pico styled headband that she made. The only thing is, material wise on your ears, it can get a little bit itchy. It's like a little bit of an itchy wool. So I think I would definitely change the material to something a little bit more softer. So after making this, I was like, okay, I want to make a huge scarf. Again, it's winter time. I want to prep myself and make myself a nice scarf for the winter. And I had also bought these yarns from the same store that I got the crochet hooks from. They just had a deal. They had a bunch of crochet items and wool and yarn on sale. So I went ahead and I stocked up, I guess. I was like, let me start this hobby and I'm gonna get all the beginner items that I might need to do this. So I got these 3 different colors, this kind of like multicolor yarn, and then this acrylic gray yarn, and then this blue acrylic yarn as well. So these 2 are actually the exact same type, just different colors. This one's a little bit different. I think it has a mix of, it's like acrylic and something else. It's a little bit more fuzzy, whereas these ones are a little bit more softer. But they were all the same hook size on the label, so I thought I could definitely combine these, and I think it did combine fine. And then I just kind of started knitting. I followed another tutorial for this one, and of course I'll link it below as well. And in this one, it was a bunch of half double crochets, I believe. At this point I was kind of starting to figure out the differences between all the different verbiage in crochet, like the single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, all that. In the beginning it was like super intimidating, but at this point I was like starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with what they mean. So that was also another like boost of confidence for my crocheting. And you can definitely tell that I'm a lot more consistent here, and it looks so much nicer. There is a little bit of a divot over here where I kind of go from a wider width and then kind of decreases, so I made a little mistake over here, I think, but I'm fine with it. I don't mind it. And also, this is not done for me. I want it to be a little bit longer, so I've left a little marker. I don't know what these things are called, but I actually had a bunch of these lying around before I even started crocheting, because every time my husband buys a dress shirt, it comes with these, and we've just kind of collected them just in case, and now I have a great purpose and use for them. I don't have to buy a pack for them. So I'm gonna repurchase these exact same colors, hopefully, and finish this. I'm really excited for this to be finished. But you can see that I haven't woven through much of the ends. I've done a little bit, but I haven't done everything, and it's just a little bit overwhelming. So this was another lesson of weave as you go. Because next for me, after making this, I thought, okay, my next step has to be the granny square. It seemed like the most classical thing to do. You can make so many different things out of granny squares. So that is what I've moved on to, and that is currently what I am working on. So I am following this tutorial. I actually learned from her how to make the granny squares, and then my goal is to put all of these together to make a bag, just like in the tutorial. So I've made all the bases, I guess, of the different granny squares. There's supposed to be 13 of them. Some of them are still on the first level, and some of them are complete. So this is the completed one, how it's gonna look like. And after making the granny square, this is the point where I was like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with crochet right now. I can confidently call myself a crocheter after this point. They look so beautiful and like a complete product. They're so nice, and they're really easy to make. They're just a bunch of double crochets and then some chains put together. So it's really easy. And they grow really fast, and they make these really beautiful shapes and patterns. So these flower motifs kind of. And I know this is like the most basic form of a granny square. There are other forms, so I'll probably try those out as well. I've seen a lot of pictures of the daisy granny squares. They look really cute. I think that might be a next step for me, but for now I'm just going to be working on finishing all of these squares to make my bag. And I think at that point, when I move from just flat object to something with shape like a bag, I think I'm going to feel a lot more confident as well in my skills. And then while making these, I thought about using a fluffier material, a fluffier yarn, to make like a really cozy granny square blanket. I just made one of these granny squares, and then I realized the holes are a little too big to my liking, so I'm not going to be using this yarn for a granny square blanket. But it's super fluffy, And one thing though that I noticed with using this really fluffy yarn, I thought that it would kind of be easier because it's thicker, so you can see it better. But yes, it is thicker, so the project goes by quicker because, well, it grows faster. But it was actually really hard to see where to put my hook through. So I wouldn't recommend this kind of yarn for a complete beginner because I feel like the fluff kind of goes together and makes it really hard to see those loops. Like right now they look fine, but when I was doing, like for example in the beginning and stuff, the loops were really hard to discern and it was a little bit more difficult. So I'm glad that I did this after having done these guys, just to kind of get a feel of how this kind of yarn feels like. So my next steps are going to be to make a blanket from this kind of yarn but using a different pattern, and I'm going to be using this tutorial that I found on YouTube. And also I am really wanting to move from this like flat surface to making things that have shape. Like I really want to try and do some amigurumis, but I have yet to find a tutorial to follow that'll show me kind of like a really basic pattern of an amigurumi, just to kind of get myself started and figure out how it kind of works. Because what I found with crochet is once you figure out the basic pattern, everything else starts to make sense. And as I'm working on these flat surface stuff, I feel like anything flat right now for me kind of makes sense. But I don't know yet how to go from flat to like a shaped object. So that's going to be my next step. I really want to try and figure that out, and you know, figure out increasing, decreasing, all these terms that I've heard about but I don't quite yet understand. And I think after amigurumis I'm going to try and make some more clothing items. I feel like the big boss, or like the boss fight of crochet, is going to be making a sweater. So that's going to be my, in a few months probably, after I figure out all these other projects that I want to finish. But yeah, this is my progress in about just 1 month of crocheting. I just started crocheting and I've gotten to this point, and I'm really happy with how fast I've been learning. In the beginning, I was really kind of nervous, I guess, about it. Not nervous, but like I had a feeling it was going to be really tricky and difficult. So I kind of had I had a mental block regarding crocheting. But as I started, I just kind of took it in as one step at a time, you know, figure out how to make one stitch and then try and perfect it and then move on. And I'm really happy with my progress, and I'm excited to try and do more things. So I hope this video helps you too. If you want to start crocheting and you don't know where to start, this kind of will give you a bit of an idea of what to follow, what tutorials to kind of try out, and how to get to this level. And I'm really excited to continue sharing my crocheting journey as I go on. I hope this video helps you in starting out your crocheting journey, if that's something that you are thinking of. And if you have any advice or recommendations for me of like what to do next, I'd really love to hear that as well, because I am a beginner and I'm just kind of finding YouTube videos and following them. That's how I'm learning. So yeah, if you do have any videos that you recommend for me, or channels that you recommend for me, or I want to do amigurumi patterns next, so if you have a tutorial for that you can recommend for me, I would also really appreciate that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.